while AIPAC decides that they want to attack Jamal Bowman and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Ayanna Pressley and the new congresswoman from Pennsylvania and all these people that make up the squad, they want them out of there because they're not voting lock and step by stating no matter what Israel does, it's okay. I want you to listen to this piece here because at the end of the piece, you're going to hear what Ayman Mohyeldin has to say. Israel actually facilitated, they propped up Hamas because they didn't want to seem like they had a legitimate counterpart for a two-state solution. And now you want to hold Bauman and all these people for saying, let's be rational, responsible for not going and simply doing what Israel wants to do when they botched the Palestinian issue by propping up Hamas. Listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
Ayman, let me talk to you about the Qataris here.
Sure.
Which is, to me, one of the most fascinating countries on earth.
Yeah.
Very small country, very rich country, the kind of place where you have both like members of the Iranian government and members of Hamas and a U.S. Army base.
And the Taliban.
And the Taliban. Everyone's there. It's like the Switzerland of the Middle East.
Right.
Talk about their unique role here, because to your point about how there were some back channel conversations happening basically from day one.
Yeah.
It has all been in Qatar, and it's been through the Qatar.
Yeah, and Qatar has kind of held this foreign policy in the region that has actually agitated a lot of its neighbors for some time, that it has tried to keep open lines of communications to some of the most hostile players in the region. And their position has been, we are doing that at the request of the Americans. It is the Americans who have asked us to have an office with the Taliban. It is the Americans who have asked us, and the Israelis have asked us to keep those indirect talks with Hamas. If Hamas did not exist in Qatar right now, and if they were in Iran, can you imagine how hard these negotiations would be to secure the release of these hostages? So their position has been that we have tried to maintain open lines of communication. Now, with that comes activity that I think Western countries would look at and say, well, that's a little bit questionable. Qatar's position is like, well, we have to build trust with these people. Right. If you want to have a Taliban office here, if you want us to have Hamas's office here, you have to allow us to interact with them in a confidence-building measure. And in one of the ways that people have been critical of the Qatari government has been that they are giving money to Hamas. That is money that is sent to Hamas with the approval of the Israeli government. That's important to be very clear. It's not that money is just being transferred there. Some of the money has been delivered in cash, and it has been done with the blessing of the Israeli military, which for a long time had wanted Hamas to be propped up in order to weaken the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank.
So it's not that simple. These neoliberals, these fascists, these right-wingers, like they know nothing about diplomacy. They know nothing about how to run a country, but they do know how to have war, and they do know how to sell people out. That is how it has operated in the United States. That is how it has operated in Brazil. That is how it's now operating in Argentina, now that they have elected a right-wing guy who doesn't even believe in women's rights or climate change or any of these issues. So, folks, let's be clear here. What Bauman and the squad are doing is what every Democrat and Republican in Congress should be doing. They should talk about a ceasefire. They should talk about stopping the murder and killing and genocide in Gaza. Because again, yes, what Hamas did was horrendous, a terroristic act. But what do you expect of terrorists? Israel is a state. Hamas is a terrorist group. But worse, that Israel facilitated that Hamas's existence as an opponent to the Palestinian Authority, so that a two-state solution wouldn't come to fruition. Who should we be holding accountable? It's clear. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.